The thing right down there in the micro.
Oh, here.
And now him the music.
Where is mute here?
And then Mark Klein. Steven Schuster been every year. So we can always.
Now.
Bobby, am I muted?
Logan Beards.
Beards. Thank you.
Beards.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I have 100 things over here to do. All right, are you ready, Sheila?
Yeah.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call to order the Rapid City Area Schools Board of Education meeting. Before we get officially started, I was just informed earlier today and then read the email that tonight will be Sheila's last board meeting as board secretary. So we wanted to, board clerk. So we wanted to recognize that and thank you for the hard work that you've done. This can be a difficult group with all our little demands and people needing Fiji water and all type of different things. So we want to thank you for the work that you've done. And board members, if anyone else would like to say something to Sheila on her last night, this is the time to do so.
I will.
Okay, Ms. Urban.
Sheila, thanks for all you did at Stevens too. How long were you there? It's a big deal. So thank you so much for your service.
Okay, Ms. Clapham.
I just wanted to echo what Katie said and thank you for her service to the district as a whole. Many lives were impacted and we will miss you in the office and wish Sheila the absolute best in whatever the next chapter in life is.
All right, Ms. Rafferty.
Well, Sheila, I've only known you for a short time, but I know you've been in the district for 27 years, and I just want to thank you for your dedication and your service, and you will love retirement.
All right, Mr. Swan, I saw your hand go up. Okay.
Thank you, Sheila. Thank you very much. We're neighbors, so I'm going to see you a lot. Yeah. So, but thank you for all your years of service. So wish you all the best.
All right, anybody else? All right. So now let's go, and because we have a board member Zooming, all of our votes and everything else that we do will be by roll call. So Sheila, call to order, please.
Troy Carr,
Here.
Jamie Clapham. Here. Katie Urban.
Here.
Donna Moore.
Here.
Walt Swan.
Here.
Angela Rafferty.
Here.
Christine Stephenson.
Here.
Marissa Bonas is absent with notice. Alina Braun.
Here.
Okay, we do not have an invocation tonight, so I will invite everyone to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, before I take a vote to approve the proposed agenda, we will officially take off Ms. Bonas from the agenda tonight. So we will not have 8 alpha. Any other corrections to the agenda a board member would like to make? Okay, seeing none, I will entertain a motion to approve the proposed agenda except for item 8 alpha.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the proposed agenda. Sheila?
Troy Carr,
Yes.
Jamie Clapham,
Yes.
Katie Urban,
Yes.
Donna Moore,
Yes.
Walt Spahn,
Yes.
Angela Rafferty,
Yes.
Christine Stephenson.
Yes.
All right, motion carries. This time we have the sharing the success. All right, Dr. Thompson.
Okay, we have two sharing of the successes this evening. The first, I would like to have Alyssa Downey come up, and if you need Jill for backup support, that would be fine too. Okay. So on February 23rd, we had a very exciting day. Alyssa Downey, school nurse for Robbinsdale and Grandview Elementary Schools, received the 2026 Excellence in School Nursing Award for the entire state of South Dakota. So we're here to recognize Alyssa. She has served as a school nurse in our district for the past 6 years and consistently exemplifies excellence in school nursing. She was nominated not by one person, but by many people within her teams with glowing remarks about her school nursing practice and character. She was described as an extraordinary advocate for children. Her nomination letter explained that Alyssa understands that school nursing is not simply about managing medications or responding to injuries. It is about removing barriers so children can fully access their education. Every decision Alyssa makes is grounded in what is best for children. She sees the whole child and understands that health impacts speech, learning, attendance, confidence, and opportunity. She works tirelessly to ensure that no student's circumstance limits their ability to thrive. The criteria for a nurse to be nominated for the Excellence in School Nursing Award include: they must be a registered nurse, have a nursing degree and licensure. They must be a member of the South Dakota School Nurse Association and National Association of School Nurses, and must have at least 5 years of experience as a school nurse and currently practice as a school nurse. Thank you, Nurse Alyssa, for representing the very best of school nursing in South Dakota and for sharing your compassion, professionalism, expertise, and heart for children with the Rapid City area school students and community. Thank you for sharing your dedication and ensuring that all of our students are happy, healthy, and ready to learn. And it was a very exciting day. The students, I think, were most excited. So I'm sure, board, you would like Alyssa to stay here for a few moments.
All right, wonderful. All right, board member comments. Mrs. Urban.
Thank you, Nurse Alyssa, for all you do. It's well deserved. And I think we're just so lucky to be able to say that we had the Nurse of the Year here in our district. And I know that you guys have a tough job and it's getting harder all the time. So thanks for hanging in there and doing all you do for kids.
Mrs. Rafferty.
I had the pleasure of working with Nurse Alyssa as a kindergarten teacher, and she helped me with my students, even if it was just giving them a Band-Aid when they didn't even need it. This is well-deserved, and congratulations.
Again, thank you for all your hard work. Okay, now it's picture time. All right. Again, I
Thank
think
you
this
so
deserves
much.
another one.
And next up, Dr. Kira Comer is going to recognize some outstanding special educators for us.
Thank you. This has been the year of recognizing special ed, and it's been exciting. We had 7 Teacher of the Years for our buildings that were special ed teachers, so I'm very excited. And then now we have the South Dakota Special Ed Department put out for a nomination from all of the parents or guardians around the state and said, hey, nominate all of your wonderful special ed staff for this award. In our district, we had 33 that were nominated by parents and guardians, which is huge. I was so excited. And so of those 33, unfortunately, they picked 5 to go into the top, to be the top one, but still, I think being recognized is huge. We haven't had any, I don't think, on our side of the state since I've been here, so that's good. So help me and join in honoring their commitment, compassion, and excellence from their nominations from their parents. So some of them are here, some of them are not. But we have Madison Schreiber. She is a school psychologist at Beadle. We have Samantha Ray. She is a special ed teacher at General Beadle. We have Stacy Gorko, special ed teacher at Blackhawk. Amanda Morgan is a paraprofessional at Central. Kelsey Jones, special ed teacher at Central. Sure. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And nope, I got it, I guess. I got it. We have Lori Riggs, special ed teacher from Central High School. Marisa Carling, special ed teacher from Central High School. We have Katie Castile from Corral Drive. Carrie Bishop from Corral Drive. Sean Keller from East Middle School. Kelly Birdsall, speech pathologist from Grandview. Cindy Jessup, special ed teacher from Horace Mann. Jamie Gibson, special ed teacher from Horace Mann. Michaela Borberly, special ed teacher from Horace Mann. Beth Wessel, speech pathologist from Kibben. Stacy Capan, special ed teacher from Knollwood. Carrie Mason, she's an achievement evaluator at Lincoln for the district. Grace Chiak, a general ed teacher, which I was excited to have a gen ed teacher nominated, from Meadowbrook. Judith Amo, she's a nurse at Meadowbrook. Danielle Harding, special ed teacher at North. Robin Bushy, paraprofessional at Rapid Valley. Maria Pesek, special ed teacher from Rapid City Academy. Kelly Sabo, special ed teacher from Robbinsdale. One of the teacher of the year. Stacy Cole, special ed teacher she's currently at Rapid City Academy. Haley Waldrop, special ed teacher at South Canyon. Katie Gifford, special ed teacher from South Middle School. You guys don't get off the hook yet. You'll have to come up for pictures. Michelle Truplis, special ed teacher at Stevens. Stacy Randall, special ed teacher at Stevens. Kelsey Nielsen, paraprofessional at Southwest. Melody Walters, teacher at Southwest. Nancy Bishop, she's paraprofessional at Valley View. And then Leah Wojtosik from West, special ed teacher. And then we had one that was recognized, but they have resigned from the district. So I will mail that one to that individual. So thank you guys. I very much appreciate all the work that these guys do for kids. They're great. Now you have to.
All right, everyone here, back up for a picture. That's our little.
Oh, with me. Oh, that is scary. You may have to ask them. That's just you guys, you know, do it. Thank you guys, and thank you guys for coming.
Oh, hold on, everybody, back up. I'm sure there are gonna be some board comments. Got the Got that part. All right, board members, any comments for these special ed? Okay, you all, maybe I'm not communicating. Come back, just like you were taking the picture, just. Yeah. All right, all right, there we go. All right, Miss Urban.
Just to say thank you for all you do. I think it's a big deal to be nominated by parents in particular and students. So again, thank you for all you do. I know some of you have actually had my children, so I really appreciate you.
All right, Mrs. Stephenson.
Yeah, I want to reiterate that too. As some of you know, I work as a pediatric PT in a clinic here in town. So as you read through those names, I've heard those names. I hear from patients who are like, oh, Judy at Meadowbrook, she will take care of it, or Jen at Central. It's just, it's great to see you recognized because your families, and they really do see the work you do, and we see the work you do. And so thanks for being here. Thanks for standing up again. And I hope you have a great rest of your week and night and celebrate a little bit.
Again, thank you for all the hard work that you've done. Last year, my goal was to visit all the kitchens in the district. And then this year, my goal is to visit, if not all the special ed rooms, most of them. And in my touring several buildings, it is hard work. I thought it was hard. I pictured that it was hard, but actually being in your rooms, it's a difficult job. And so to do it with grace, with professionalism, and enough so that the parents, as Ms. Urban says, recognize it, is something that you should be proud of, and we're proud of the work that you do. So thank you so very much. Anyone else? All right, again, thank you. Let's give them a. Right, open forum. We have 5 speakers tonight, and we'll just kind of wait till. Ms. Decker, you're up. And you will have 5 minutes, please.
Good evening. My name is Crystal Decker, and I am the Information Media Specialist at South Canyon Elementary, where I have taught for the past 27 years. In small schools like ours, the library, music, and PE teachers, thank you. There you go. Often support far more than just a class period. They support multiple systems within our school to help it function every day. I understand that the district is trying to respond to staffing needs across buildings. And while I have heard of schools asking for more classroom teachers, more paraprofessionals, more interventionists and deans, I've never heard of a school asking for more than 1 full-time specials teacher in each subject area. So I'm genuinely curious where the need for a 1.5 position in specials came from. My biggest concern continues to be the logistics of how this plan will actually work in practice. If 2 teachers are assigned to the same building, how will they realistically share 1 library, 1 music room, or 1 gym for PE in spaces when those spaces have already been scheduled throughout the day for classes? I'm also wondering what happens if South Canyon's enrollment remains above the 250 student threshold, which we currently are. I respectfully hope that you will reconsider this proposal, or at least pause the decision until these logistical questions can be clearly addressed. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Next, Ms. Lind. Long Lind. All right.
See, you remember, my kids remember it if I say I'm Mrs. Longlind and I'm long-winded, and I'm a music teacher. I can't handle that thing flopping on me. So I'm also addressing the proposed restaffing guidelines. For me, one of the huge things is there going to be a 0.4 cut at West Middle School? Because my position is 0.6 at Southwest and 0.4 at West Middle School. And there seemed to be confusion about that. So if the proposal goes forward, then that seems that means it's a 0.4 drop at West Middle School. And Mr. Conrad said he is not aware of any staffing cuts at his building. So there needs to be that worked out. If we're cutting something, then that needs to be clear. And then just also to reiterate, that a lot of us fill a lot of different roles. And if we're gonna be considered part-time at one building for 12 sections and shifted to another building for 0.5 that has 24 sections, are we teaching 12 sections over at that other building? And then the full-time person just does 12? I mean, the math is like, I think we need to look at sections as opposed to just straight up numbers of people. Because the sections are that's the time frame that we have that we're teaching, irregardless of if the class has 19 kids in it, or I've had as many as 34 kids in a section. So, I mean, there's lots of different little pieces to this whole thing than just slicing it and putting us there. Also, there's not space for us. Where are we going to teach? Where are our materials? Where is our equipment? And if just physically, you can't be running 2 groups of classes in the same music room at the same time. I mean, combining classes, I mean, those are things where it's like, yeah, that's not gonna work. We need to have the same teaching, as much as possible, the same teaching space, the same equipment, the same materials. We just did a huge curriculum review a few years ago, and we went through and very methodically tried to make sure that every room in the district had the same equipment, had the same materials, and that won't be true if we're gonna do this split. I just think it's gonna cause a whole lot more issues than it's solving right here, right now at this time. Yes, the valley is growing. Maybe when Rapid Valley gets built, we revisit it to be like, okay, where's the space going to be? Where's the materials going to be? Where's the equipment going to be? But the way it's set up right now, you're gonna need all of those things if you're gonna have it be equal for everybody. So it to me looks like you're actually costing more money than saving any more money. I sent you a thorough email last week, but I just wanted to show up in person and be like, hi, I'm the weird one that's 0.6 at the elementary and 0.4 at the middle school. So I just wanted to, I'm also the elementary music coordinator for the district. So I also think this is a district-wide thing as far as the coordinator hat goes, in that, you know, delving in all of this, if it's not clear, it makes it really hard for people either to want to stay or want to join us as far as the district goes. So, thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Wright.
I come here on behalf of my friend Heidi Wong Lin, you just heard from. She is the district coordinator and she's helped me immensely in my 2 years in this district. So I don't know all the ins and outs of the decision to do specials and move electives around, but I do want to speak to the issues because I've been through it in to Rapid City. I taught for 25 years in Cheyenne, and I'm here teaching music at Beetle. I was teaching French at the time, and French had the same issues where sometimes through proposals to split teachers between schools, the district, against the wishes of parents and students and administrators, and of course the teachers, that edged out a lot of language programs. First to go was German. We had German in all the schools. Teacher retired. They didn't replace her. They started sending teachers from other schools to those other schools to cover those sections. When we did that, it was pretty frustrating and tiresome. Some teachers were at 3 schools trying to do German at 3 schools and sometimes maybe 2 schools in the same day. So it ended up with those teachers leaving. So the programs died out. So there's no French is on the chopping block as well. Things are going in French because they're doubling up, they're sending teachers around. So what I've noticed in my teachers I've worked with before is that teachers are really good strategizers. We're including talk and come up with plans, sometimes we come up with really good ones. So I think that's sort of demoralizing when teachers who have great wisdom and worked really hard to build programs aren't included in these decisions. So I know that that's one of the ways that they could be part of figuring out how to make it work. Well, I just have more things to say. I know that Rapid City also strives to serve its students with equity. That's a big deal at Butte Elementary. Every second grader uses the same materials, the same notebook. Fifth graders have the same science books and materials. And music students have the same experience they're supposed to in schools. At Butte, spacious room to do music. Kids are very lucky. Two sections of music that were perhaps second grade at Valley View. If a teacher's moved over there to overlap a schedule, they're going to find themselves possibly in a bucket drum because it's next to the library. Doesn't have to store all the students and instrument issues and can be very engaged. So having a complete music room, it's very this splits happen, there may be situations where not everybody is going to have. Short story, but in addition to music and French and art, I'm also certified in English. I was teaching in junior high. I was concerned because there were sections of French. So the government told me I was going to teach English as well. I spent mostly creating posters of English, painting pictures of English authors and getting materials running from some filling bookshelves and getting volume set up so I could teach that English section in showed some kids that we actually had to create a fourth section of French just 3 before. So you have to, sometimes it's only much wait and hope and look and see the numbers when you get closer to the time. So I just think that you'll be surprised often positively, sometimes not so positively, but it's a little can change. So with that, I will keep for this.
All right, Logan, up next.
Just making sure that's on. All right. Hi, I am Logan Beert. Hello, members of the board and members of the district. I'm Logan Beert, one of 2 elementary art teachers in the district. This is my first year here, and this is the first year that the program has been running, from what I understand, in about 20 years since there's been elementary art in the district. I came also to talk about the staffing and moving around of people. Because my program, the elementary art program, it's I and one other teacher, Lori Stewart. Since it's so new, I'm at Valley View and I'm usually working an hour or 2 extra every day, coming in maybe an hour early, staying a few hours late. So if anybody at Valley View needed extra help, I don't want to say I need the help, but if anybody needed it, I could use help setting up this program. However, making that point, I would like to mention that I don't think that this is a necessity or that it would be beneficial to add the extra staff. In art in particular, there's no half art teachers at other schools because it's just me and Lori. And outside of art, we don't have the space for it. I'm out on a cart right now, so we don't have the room for another class. I go into the classrooms and there's barely room for the students in there. At Valley View currently we're at 612 for our student population. But because we have 4 sections or 4 specials, we're able to cover all 4 sections per grade level. So each grade level at Valley View has 4 sections. We have 4 specials to make up for that, and my position comes out of title fund. So for that reason as well, all the other specialist teachers, which we've spoken about this, and you'll hear a little bit more tonight. We've spoken about how don't really feel like they need the help. We're able to get everything we need to done for the most part in a day. They would be receiving additional staff, whereas I, the one who would maybe need it just for this year, would not be receiving any additional staff. So that was a point that I wanted to mention. I didn't want it to seem like I'm coming up here just to complain about being overworked. That's my decision. That's a choice that I make to help set the program up right. My hope is that in the future, there will be more elementary art teachers and that Lori and I are trying to build a strong foundation for them so that it's not such a go run wild with the fire type of deal when they come in. I believe that is most everything I have for you. I just want to offer, if anyone wants to join me for a cart ride, feel free to come visit Valley View. You can cart around with me and take a look at how our schedule works, how we fit so many students into a day, how we get an hour with each of those kids each day, despite having 25 sections at our school.
Thank you very much. All right, Heidi.
This is angled down.
Yeah.
Weird. I'm short, but I'm not that short. Holy cow. I'm the other Heidi. My name is Heidi Perrette. I am the music teacher at Valley View Elementary. I've been teaching music for 18 years, 14 were in Casper, Wyoming, 4 years in the district, and my 3rd year at Valley View. I'm also here tonight to speak about the proposal that directly affects Valley View Elementary School and the specialist team, which includes music, PE, IMS, STEAM, and art. In the proposal, it named all elementary schools and RCAS to have art. This is not true. Valley View and Rapid Valley Elementary Schools, just as my colleague just mentioned, are the only two that offer this meaningful and necessary opportunity to students. The art teachers at Rapid Valley and Valley View have been building the elementary art program to assist new hires and other schools that are yet to get an art program, which is an overwhelming majority of the schools. With their hard work and dedication, I am hopeful to see all elementary schools in the RCAS district to include art sooner than later. But yes, Valley View is the largest school in the district, and I asked Ms. Frizzell to run our numbers. We have 612 currently. The highest number our student population has reached is over 620. Our school has 4 sections in every grade level except for junior kindergarten. Our grand total of sections that we have is 25. The junior kindergarten is split, and then they go with the other kindergartens to our specialist classes. So our school needs to have 4 specialist teachers to assist our colleagues with their PLC time. Currently, our specialist teams does not have any issues with our master schedule. The amount of classes we teach per day, which is 6, or the amount of time, student contact time, which is 50 minutes per class. We do not feel overwhelmed in our daily duties. We have adequate planning time. We PLC on a weekly basis, and we have daily duties as our other certified teachers in our building. Our master schedule works, and it works well. I invite you to take a look at our master schedule, as I am sure our principal, Holly Hoffman, would share if asked. I invite you to visit our school to see in person, go for a cart ride, or come do some scarf dancing in the music room to see how our master schedule looks and works, not just on paper. Frankly, our school is at capacity for teaching spaces. Our wonderful first-year art teacher is on a cart, and it is not ideal, but he makes it work, and he is wonderful at what he does. If you watch him, he doesn't seem like a first-year art teacher, by the way. Our admin is working very hard to solve the issue for being on a cart for the future, and hopefully even by next year. So this sorry, words are hard. This proposal has our specialists asking how the logistics of this proposal would work, and others have mentioned this as well. Where would extra teachers teach? As mentioned already, Valley View is at capacity for teaching spaces. Ideally, our specialist teachers need their own teaching space. Valley View does not have 2 libraries, 2 gyms, or 2 music rooms. Now would be a great time to add a second gym, second library, art room, and music room to Rapid Valley's blueprints to accommodate their growing numbers and possible need for 2 of each specials. Just a thought. What about teaching resources such as books, PE equipment, and music instruments? Speaking from the music side, high quality music instruments are expensive to purchase. It would roughly cost around $10,000 to provide full instrumentarium, online curriculum, instrument cards / tables, and sound equipment to properly provide what other music rooms in the district offer. And currently, I'm the repair person. So speaking on space to store these instruments, we're already limited on the teaching and storing space. So where would extra resources be stored? Where would specialist teachers, would they team teach, or would they teach with where the seniority person comes in from the opposite building and takes over? These are just questions that have arisen. And these are just a few of the many questions that have arisen. But in conclusion, I revisit the invitation to look at our master schedule of Valley View. It works. It works like clockwork. It's much better than last year's schedule, I will say that. And please visit our school to see how well our current specials teachers operate under Valley View Master Schedule. And I respectfully request that you please review and reject the initial proposal because I do not think it's what's best for students. Additional specials teachers are not needed at Valley View Elementary School at this time. And thank you so much for your time.
Right, board response to open forum. Ms. Stephenson.
Hi, thank you all for coming. It is, I have to choose my words carefully because the fine arts are very close to my heart. Specials, I have kids in the or I have one kid in the elementary, but another one who's gone through, and I know how important you are. And you did the right thing to come here tonight and address the board and share your concerns. The only thing I really wanted to say is that at the board level, the 7 of us don't make this level of decisions. It is the board governance model is we have a strategic plan. We've asked our district leaders to operate a district that is effective, that is equitable for kids, that is making the very best use of very limited funds. But but we don't go in and say, and we think this teacher needs to go there and that teacher needs to go there. That's not a board level decision. So I would hope the administration responds to your concerns respectfully and gives them good consideration. I just wanted to be very clear that you don't want the 7 of us going down to Valley View and solving this problem. And I mean, just because it would take, that's what it would take. And so I really do appreciate that you came and your concerns are heard, and I appreciate all of you. And I also appreciate the job that our administration has to do trying to find the best solutions for all of our kids district-wide. And so as we move forward, just please know that that's what they're hearing from, I think, most of us as board members, is try to do your very hard job and make and help us make as big of an impact as possible while hurting as few people as possible. And that's, I guess, all that I really wanted to add to the discussion.
All right. Ms. Urban.
Yes, thank you for coming. And I have received your emails. I don't respond to all of them because Dr. Thompson's been pretty quick to do that. So I guess a couple of things to keep in mind is that these aren't hard and fast rules. They were guidelines. We fully understand that there's going to be situations where we aren't able to accommodate some of these different guidelines. And I know that a lot of the logistics that you're talking about have not been figured out yet. I think that as Dr. Strasser works toward that, he will definitely engage with school staff and their schedules and look at what makes the most sense. So I don't think anything's done at this point, and I think the information that you have provided to our administration and to us is helpful. Thank you.
All right, any other board members? All right, thank you very much. This time we have student reports. We just have one tonight. Ms. Braun, Stevens.
All right. I have a short report for you guys today. As of today, Stevens has drawn up their first draft of the master schedule for next year. Preliminary numbers show that there are more than 1,000 AP course requests, including 99 AP biology requests, which was just added to the master schedule this year. AP US history enrollment has also gone up, now requiring 7 periods and a second teacher. There are more classes of AP language and composition, and more kids have signed up for AP seminar than when it was previously Advanced English 10. We think this is because kids felt it was pointless to take the class if it wasn't graded on a 5-point scale. I personally am so thankful I took the class because it has vastly improved my speaking skills. And as prom approaches, Stevens has also been carefully considering how to give kids a safe space to hang out after the dance that will also be fun. So post-prom will be from 10 to 12:30 on April 18th at the National Guard Armory near Stevens. The dedicated post-prom committee has raised money for prizes like an Oculus, an iPad, mini fridge, Beats, AirPods, TV, projectors, gift cards, and much, much more. Activities at Post Prom include a mobile gaming company where kids can play Mario Kart and other video games, trivia, bingo, and a cakewalk. Pizza will be provided and the jukebox soda truck will be outside. We are looking forward to a night of fun and we would appreciate any volunteers that we can get to make the night much more run smoothly. A sign up genius will go out next week and a poster with more detailed information on the prizes and activities is at all of your seats. And last week was the AA girls state basketball. Our girls put up a good performance, getting 6th place with senior Mackenzie Schreiber getting named to the all tournament team. Our cheerleaders won the Spirit of Six award for the 4th year in a row this year, capping off an incredible season of supporting our boys and girls basketball teams. And our pep band, combined with Central, played at the tournament on Thursday. We put aside our rivalry for a little bit, joined the red and blue, and helped the players and audience stay energized at the tournament. And lastly, this Saturday was Pi Day. Pi is an irrational number with an infinite number of uses in math, 3.14159. Our Stevens Math Club dedicated themselves to making a pi chain that would span our school with over 3,000 digits of pi. With the help of the math department, we made a chain of 3,600 digits of pi, which is currently hanging in the 200s hallway. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Awesome report. Board members, any questions for Ms. Braun? Now, I do, what type of volunteers do you need for post-prom?
Ooh, I think a lot of it is handing out tickets, making sure kids like don't leave and then try to come back, kind of managing maybe the food, like the pizza and some of the games like the bingo and the cakewalk.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we're trying to get our knowledgeable advisor to run that because he's got it down. He knows what he's doing.
Okay, Mrs. Urban.
I know Central needs volunteers too, and last year I did it and I was able to hand out food. And they really do need a lot of volunteers and it was super fun. There's just so many different opportunities to help there. Like, I know they were playing poker, so like they needed dealers and I just ran and got pizza a bunch because they kept running out. So it's a super fun evening if you're up for it.
Okay, I thought the proms were together. The proms are together, but the post-proms are separate.
Yeah.
All right, any other questions? All right, see no hands. All right, this time, Dr. Thompson, Superintendent Report.
Thank you. I'm hopeful that my report also will be short this evening, but that remains to be seen. I want to provide kind of an overview of the legislative session, or at least the educational side of it, because I believe Mr. Sassy will talk about the financial side during his report, as it is the hot topic. I would say from my perspective, overall, the legislative session went a little bit better than I anticipated it would. Some of the legislation that would have been detrimental to RCIS was defeated. And there was some legislation passed that will be beneficial to us. So a few of the highlights. HB 1051 is something that probably Mr. Sassy will talk about, but they were able to move the budget from a 0% increase for the big three, including education, to a 1.4 increase. Although that's much less than we were hoping for, it is a big improvement over 0. So I'll leave it at that and Mr. Sassy can expand on that later. HB 1082 is one that our legislative committee advocated for very hard. It will provide free lunches for families who meet the federal requirements for reduced price meals. Schools will get reimbursement for those meals. So that will be a very good thing for those students moving forward.
Dr.
Yes, sir.
Thompson, so the application, how will parents be informed that those that qualified for reduced, I mean, I'm sure the qualification is still the same, but that will be paid for?
Correct. The qualification will be the same. We'll have to somehow denote that on the form and send that out to parents so that they know that it's the fact.
Okay, all
And really for us, it's just a matter of who's reimbursing us for those meals, whether it's the federal government or the state government. So that's the delineation that we will need. SB 106 increased the extraordinary cost fund for special education from 4 million to 5 million, which is also a positive. SB 8 allows schools to stock emergency epinephrine in a nasal form rather than just the shot form, which is a positive as well. HB 1017 allows school boards to assign a student has been engaged in violent or aggressive behavior to an alternative setting. We remained neutral on that as there were just so many unknowns, and there still are so many unknowns about what that will look like. So that is something we're going to need some guidance from the state on prior to any sort of implementation. HB 1181 adds coach to the list of mandatory reporters of child abuse and neglect. I think that's a positive. HB 1313 requires schools to provide instruction on prenatal growth and development, including some very specific videos. We will be waiting from the Department of Education to create guidance on that. And they have a very short amount of time to do that because we will need to implement this at the beginning of the school year. SB 46 requires proposed agendas to include all items to be considered by the public body. That is not a very big change for us. I feel like we do a good job of including everything on the agenda. The only thing we may need to watch is making sure we're not considering anything when we talk about our other items at the end of an agenda. SB 47 specifies that any vote to go into executive session that is not unanimous must be taken by a roll call vote. And I feel like we also do a good job of that already. So we're ahead of the times. And then finally, SB 138 changes recount procedures for school boards. A recount now must be conducted prior to the annual meeting of the board. And if parties cannot agree to those that will be involved in the recount, the Secretary of State will make an appointment for that third person. I just want to thank the legislative committee because you put in a lot of work reaching out to our legislative people, our representatives, our senators, through calls, texts, emails, personal visits. And I think it did make a difference. I think we did sway some people along the lines. So thank you very much for that. And then the last thing I have kind of has already been discussed, and that was, thanking Sheila for her work and wishing her a happy retirement. So.
Right. All right. Any questions? Thank you very much, Dr. Thompson. Very good and informative report. Any questions, comments? Dr. Thompson. Okay, seeing none. Mr. Sassy.
Thank you, sir. I am also going to talk a little bit about some of the legislation. Try not to reiterate too much what Dr. Thompson already presented. I do obviously think first it's very important that we are looking at what passed through the legislation and how that's going to impact us, but also really interesting, especially given the avalanche of bills that we saw over the last 2 years aimed at education, and mostly in a not good way, to see what ended up crossing the finish line and ultimately how that's going to impact us. And as Dr. Thompson said, I think for us, again, looking at the, 200 and some bills that were in one form or another aimed at education, and that my list has 4 on it essentially, and Dr. Thompson's was a handful. It really does speak to not only our effort locally. I think, again, as Dr. Thompson said, thank you to the legislative committee. I felt we did some really good hard work over the past 2 or 3 months, made a difference here locally, but obviously what folks are doing across the state in terms of lobbying on behalf of education and common sense turned out and I think was overall a very good outcome in the legislative session. So just a few bills I want to talk about in particular. These are obviously bills that are carrying a financial or operational significance of some sort. HB 1082, HB 1051, SB 245, and SB 138. So talk about those a little more in depth. So kind of the feel-good story of the session being HB 1082, free and reduced price meal reimbursement. Obviously, this was something that was close to our district, as we have been champions of that bill over the last couple of years. We've been significantly impacted by bad debt and some of the things resulting from that. So this is a huge bill for us. I think why it matters to us, obviously, that funding directly affects both the district in terms of budget and how we manage it financially, and student outcomes. And it's pretty rare you get a win-win from a legislative outcome. And this is one of those situations where we're going to get a win-win. These reimbursement parameters will certainly help reduce financial uncertainty and support program sustainability. I think President Carr asked a really great question. There's still, and this goes for all these bills, it's not only this bill. Part of the fun of what happens post-legislative session is that all the organizations and the entities involved in that bill now go to work in terms of figuring out, well, how is this actually going to work and what's actually going to happen? And so President Carr asked some great questions. There's some gears and mechanisms that we have to figure out, both locally and at the state level, of what this is going to look like. One being, how do we inform parents of what their obligation is or now is not, I guess, in terms of qualifying for reduced meals. It's going to be interesting because for that reduced portion, we're still going to receive reimbursement both from the federal program, the CANS program, and from the state level. And so there will be some interesting logistics to figure out there. In any case, it's a great deal. I think major talking points here, it guarantees reimbursements for those reduced price meals, which is a really big deal. I talked about this in my testimony for this bill. It felt like I testified about 57 times. I think it was 5 or 6, but man, that bill went through about every layer I think it possibly could have. There's looking only at the impact of what a district gets, especially a district like ours, in terms of reimbursement directly, doesn't tell the whole financial story, because the other thing that it does is that it ensures that those meals never turn into bad debt. And that is a significant impact for the district in terms of how we're using resources, obviously, to pursue bad debt and hopefully collect bad debt. So there's sort of a dual impact, and looking only at the, for us, $20,000 to $40,000 that we're going to get in reimbursement directly only tells part of the story. There's a much larger story to tell. And then again, it provides a significant degree of stability to the program. One of the things I talked a lot about in my testimony is, and it was very interesting, there was a legislator, I won't name names, but there was a legislator who, in response to some of the testimony, said, well, I'm not going to vote for this because there are, just like there are parents and guardians on the bubble in terms of reduced to free, there are parents and guardians on the bubble in terms of full paid to reduced. And I thought a lot about that comment, and I adjusted my testimony, and I shared this with Representative Whitman as well, that when we're talking about ensuring revenue and providing stability, what it does is allow districts to ensure that they're keeping prices steady and or at the lowest point they can, because again, we're not using resources chasing debt around. We're not using time and effort trying to determine how we're going to deal with that. And I think the most common feedback that the district gets around its meal program is in terms of quality. And it's very, very difficult to increase quality when you have a significant amount of bad debt and or you're not receiving revenue for meals. And so saying that you're not going to support it because it doesn't hit this bubble is actually hurting those families, because in effect, we're having to increase meal prices to offset what we're experiencing. So really good bill, not going to solve all the problems in the world in terms of student nutrition, but is going to be a really good first step in having better things happen. So that's the good. The next two, I'm not sure how we would
Mr.
categorize.
Sassy?
Yeah.
So is it a true statement that after this goes into effect, I'm assuming it's not gonna go into effect this year?
Correct. So
Okay,
next
so-
fiscal,
sorry.
yes, sir.
So that any bad debt will then be from people who are able to pay?
Yes, sir. That don't qualify for free or reduced. Yes, sir. You got it. The next couple, maybe not quite so feel good. HB 1051. So HB 1051 is really aimed at the levies and the state aid formula. Revises several of the levies for school districts and updates the state aid to general formula and special education formula. Obviously, there are massive impacts here in terms of the financial mechanisms that those two formulas use. Changes to these formulas are significant, and I don't know that anyone who is dealing with this situation right now really understands the potential future impact, me included. There's a lot of consequence here that we just won't be able to know right now. It's going to take years in order to really understand what's happening. But a few key areas of this bill in particular. So it revised levy structures and ultimately will affect how much districts can raise locally. And as we are aware, that impacts the state aid formula significantly. This bill also revised the state aid general formula, including updates to the general formula, including owner occupied status changes. And I'm going to talk more about what I mean by that here in just a moment. And then this is the bill that included the inflationary increase to the target teacher salary component of the state aid formula, moving that target salary to $63,700.69, which is the 1.4% increase. And then lastly, on the special education side, it revised disability allocations and then added what apparently is being called an effort factor, which was not previously the special education formula. There was a section which essentially looked at what your local effort was based on the levy that you could max. So for a district like ours, it had been at 100%. It will remain at 100%. So I don't think this effort factor is going to impact us. I think it's really aimed at districts who are far under their SPED levy and are not maximizing their SPED levy. Major talking points here. The biggest impact of this bill will be in how it impacts this owner occupied levy. So what it did, and this was working in tandem with the next bill that we'll talk about, significantly decreased the owner occupied levy, or the levy that we all pay as single family dwelling property holders, from $2.35 to 67 cents per 1,000 of valuation. So a significant decrease. We're going to talk more about this very shortly. This bill was intended to work in tandem with SB 245. One of the things that always concerns me about bills like this, and we'll often have people go, well, yeah, but those are just mechanics, they have to get worked out, is that the bill does not specify how the revenue will be backfilled. So there's nothing in the bill that says very specifically, here's what's going to happen in the formula to ensure that school districts are backfilled for the missing revenue from the lower owner occupied, which is very concerning to me. And I understand that generally those things work out, and that that's something that, again, interpretations have to be made and worked through, but it is concerning. One of the positive things, SPED disability allocations also increased by approximately 1.4% at each disability level. So that was a good thing. Overall, this bill to me is very much like I would call it silly putty at this point. It doesn't have a lot of form in terms of this is exactly how it's going to impact us, not only for the next 2 to 3 years, but also 10, 15, 20 years into the future. But I think really to understand the story, we do have to talk about, I'm going to come back to this slide. We do have to talk about SB 245. This was a placeholder bill promoting the future success of South Dakota. SB 245 creates what's called the Homeowner Property Tax Reduction Fund in an effort to provide property tax relief for owner-occupied single-family dwellings. This is interesting. The fund will be administered by the Department of Revenue. There is a couple of good things in the actual verbiage of the law. Monies in the fund must, not will or shall, must be used to reduce the local effort for general education levies and may not be transferred to the general fund. So one of the things we always look for in these bills is that it's locking language into what the actual intent of the money or the mechanism or whatever is. And so those are good things. Obviously, the relevance to us, 65% of total revenue is property tax funding. The owner-occupied status property makes up 61.2% of our total valuation. So reducing that by 85% or whatever that reduction is very significant. And that will lead to a significant decline in property tax revenue. Again, the idea is that this, the nifty acronym HPTRF fund is going to come in and backfill what districts will be missing in terms of property tax revenue. I think one of the positive aspects of this bill is that, if you recall in our early conversations prior to the legislative session starting, one of the things we were concerned about is a potential property tax relief bill that changed the way that property was valued. The nice thing about this bill is it does not change the valuation system. So it doesn't reduce valuation. It doesn't prohibit valuation increases over a specific percentage. It doesn't do any of those things. What it does do is adjust the levy on the other side of that situation. And so it pulls the levy down, but it doesn't impact valuation, which I think I won't rabbit hole on this, but on the capital outlay side of things, and obviously how it impacts the potential for a bond and all those things, that would have a much more significant impact. So to me, one of the positive things is that it leaves the valuation system intact and in place. It uses essentially a 0.3% sales tax rate to fund this fund. One of my concerns is we're moving from a very stable source of revenue in terms of property tax to a very unstable source of revenue in terms of sales tax. I mean, it was literally 2 months ago, we were talking about a 0% inflationary increase because sales tax revenue was behind. And I fear that, you know, we already have a lot of hills to climb in education. We already have a lot of battles. That the idea that, oh, well, state's behind in sales tax revenue, we can't fully fund this property tax, so now you're going to see a decrease in overall resources might be a fight that we're going to have to fight down the road. I find it interesting, it's not going to be administered by the Department of Education. That injects another governmental department into these conversations, which, with all due respect, is usually not efficient. This bill doesn't look beyond the next 2 years. So if you look at the bill language, it specifies essentially what's going to happen in tax years 27 and tax years 28, and that's it. And that's concerning. Again, how is this going to work in 5 years or 7 years or 10 years? Is this going to be something that we can, as a state, continue to keep afloat and that we can continue to work? I didn't even get into this, but there's more concerns to me around some of the language in the bill in terms of how they're going to determine from a year-to-year perspective what the match to the local effort is going to look like, and how do you keep pace with that match, and how do you fund that, and is it going to require sales tax increases? And in general, I think that while well-intended, the bill doesn't have enough foresight to really understand how it's going to impact us at this point. We know what's going to happen in fiscal year 27, and we know what's going to happen in fiscal year 28. And then we sort of have a cliff in terms of what's going to happen at that point. So there's some scary aspects of this.
Hold on.
Yeah, please.
Couple of questions.
Yeah.
This is Urban.
Okay, Coy,
Yeah.
can you go back a slide?
Yes,
So it's 245, and then what was the one before that? The
1051.
1051. So the thinking, please, I'm hoping I'm following this, but
Yes.
the thinking is that they're gonna replace some of this with sales tax revenue. And early on, they had talked about that the county commission would have to decide if that's what they were gonna do. So if the county commission doesn't decide that that's what they're gonna do, we are just out? Is that one of the questions that we have?
So that's a completely separate bill.
Okay,
Yep. This was, as I understand it, I'm not claiming to be the legislative expert in the room by any means. This was sort of a middle ground, blend of multiple bills that were sitting out there, including sort of the governor's bill and multiple bills that were floating at that point, that there was a lot of discussions happening, not in session, and they sort of all culminated in this bill. And if you can visualize this, essentially what's happening is 1051 is saying, okay, here's how we're going to adjust the levy portion of it. So what we're saying is we're going to essentially tell schools where you used to be able to levy this, now you can only levy this. And that's going to create a great big gap for most school districts. And then SB 245 then establishes this fund that they're going to increase sales tax or use a portion of the sales tax. Again, I think that's part of the lack of clarity. And it's going to establish this big bucket, and that money is going to go into this big bucket. So they're going to pull from this bucket that has the sales tax over to the big bucket that's the void from the lower levy, and they're going to make districts whole.
okay.
That's the idea.
So, okay, just a quick follow-up, if that's okay. So two things. So homeowners should see a big reduction then. And is there a possibility that it could be more? I mean, that if we had this great big year of great sales tax, that we could see more than what we have in the past?
Sure. I mean, yes. So question one, yeah, it should be a significant reduction for most homeowners, most property holders. Owner occupied, again, is the most significant portion of your property tax. When you open your bill and you see RCAS, that's always the biggest portion. So yeah, I think, will it achieve what the thought was behind the bill? Probably. Again, I think it depends on what's relevant in terms of a reduction, but yes. Second question, yeah, I think there's a lot of scenarios that could play out. I think that, we're a tax averse state in general. We've always been averse to increasing sales tax, even though sometimes that's a really logical place to go in terms of how we could increase funding to schools. I think that certainly that it could pave the way for the idea that, hey, this is not going to tank the state's economy. We're not going to drive tourism away, and that we could see a scenario play out where things went positively and that maybe that was brought back and used to continue to increase funding. So I think there's a lot of scenarios that could play out right now. And we'll have to see how this goes over the next couple of years. And obviously there's going to continue to be attempts at revising the system in general. There's a petition circulating now to abolish property taxes, and that's not going to go away either. So I think there's sort of a infinite number of ways that this could play out, and not all of them are bad either. So I don't want to sound like the negative person in the room, because there are some positive scenarios that could play out as well. And then Yeah, oh, I'm sorry.
I
Yeah.
have three more board members.
Yep, you bet, you bet.
Ms. Stephenson.
Thanks. Boy, I was out of town for the last week of the legislative session. I just can't believe how much.
You missed a
happened.
lot, yeah.
Yeah, that's exciting.
crazy.
Kind of.
Yeah.
My question is, Senate Bill 245 expires after 2 years, or doesn't have plans past 2 years.
Yeah, so when you look at the language, it specifies essentially, you know, the remainder of this year, 27 and 28, and then it just doesn't really say anything past that, so
But
it'll have to be addressed, obviously.
1050 is forever, 1051.
These are
That levy reduction is,
perpetuity at this point, yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Boy, that'll make a person nervous.
Yeah, it's nerve wracking, right? I
That's
mean,
a lot.
when you-
And I also just wanted to comment that like the Department of Revenue must just be like,
oh
now
man,
we have to do what? Like, how do they wrap their minds around this?
Totally.
It's very labyrinthian.
it is, you're right.
So good luck to them.
Agreed.
And, okay, you have more to say about the legislative session, right?
Just very brief, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, so, I will, oh yeah, sorry.
I'll let you know.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
That'll be easy.
I'm gonna quit adjusting slides now.
Ms. Clapham.
Wow, thank you. I just want to kind of try to wrap my head around the timing on this. So this change in the levy like would go into effect on July 1? Or say, so like when we are looking at the budget and voting on a budget. So it's saying that when people's property tax bills come out in October, it would be based on this new levy. Is that an accurate statement?
Yes, so second half of pay 26 would be unaffected.
Okay.
The first impact that we will see is the first half of pay 27. And the estimate from the LRC is that that's going to reduce property tax across the state by $56 million. And so the increase in sales tax will fill the HPRTF bucket. And that 56 million theoretically is going to be replaced by that bucket.
Okay, and then, so do we also know timing wise, like, so we talk about the variability in the sales tax, so is it like, is that assessed every 6 months? Like, okay, there's this much in the fund for this 6 months, because that's kind of how like, I'm just kind of thinking about it like my own household bank account, and it's like, well, how do you know until, okay, it's been 6 months, this is what we have from that 0.3%, and then, oh gosh, we're in the red? Like, does it get into that detail, or are those still logistics and gears that are unknown?
Excellent questions. And no, it doesn't specify any of those things at this point. And again, I think that obviously that's something that all these various entities are going to be working through over the next couple of months, is what exactly does that look like? They do have an estimate for 2028 as well. So they believe the estimated reduction is going to be then at about 58 million. I think you make some really great points in understanding where the adjustments are going to be made if necessary, and how that looks and what entity is responsible for that. The mechanics of this, the details of this are really the part that are concerning, I think, at this point.
Right, and for clarity, your old bucket explanation might have been shot out the water. Originally, local effort goes down, state aid goes up, and vice versa.
Yes.
But if I'm understanding it right, local effort went down, but it's not gonna be replaced by state aid going up, it's gonna be replaced by the sales tax.
Yes, you're correct, sir. Well done.
I get an A.
I know.
Give me an A.
Yeah, good job. Excellent, yeah.
He's a good teacher.
Yeah. Well, and effectually what's happening now is you're injecting another revenue stream into the bucket. And not to pontificate on this, however, more revenue streams means more factors to consider, more things that are going to impact those various revenue streams. Again, we're moving from a very stable source. I'm not saying I am pro or anti property tax reduction or any of those things. I'm saying that property tax has been historically the mechanism used to raise funds for school districts in the education system. We're moving from a very stable source of revenue that's been used forever to, again, an unstable source of revenue. 2 months ago, we were having a 0% conversation because of the variation in swings in sales tax. So you're exactly right. And to me, every time you inject more streams into that bucket, and keep in mind, again, that doesn't mean the bucket is increasing. The bucket's staying the same. It's the same bucket. It's just now made up of more stuff. There's more to think about. So
Now you may proceed.
yes, sir.
Oh,
No, you're good.
Sorry.
No, this is good.
Okay, you said that they're expecting to save taxpayers like 56 million next year and 58 the
Yeah.
following.
Yeah.
Are they expecting, do you have the estimates for what we're supposed to bring in sales tax? Does that match it or
That's the theoretical idea of this, is that the 0.3%
it will?
of sales tax is going to offset and match that number. Now, there's about 1 million different things that could happen in that scenario to impact it. Again, either way, like you said, maybe in a great way, maybe in a not great way. I don't know. Yes, of course.
right.
Um,
Anybody else? I see no hands. Now you can officially proceed.
Very good. Last bill, SB 138. Dr. Thompson talked about this a little bit, revises the time period and within which a recount for a school board election must be completed. Two major things happen. It revises the recount window. It says that the statutory deadline for completing the recount is that it must be completed prior to the annual meeting. Secondly, that in terms of procedure, if the additional board member appointed by the business manager is not acceptable to both candidates, as Dr. Thompson pointed out, the Secretary of State shall appoint the additional member. I would tell you, as your designated business manager, I have no problem with this bill. This is what we strive for. We strive to get a recount done as quickly as possible. We strive to name if there are even numbers and the district has to name a recount member, that it's an impartial member. So neither of these things are a bad change. These are things that we strive to do anyway. I would tell you, similar to the Department of Revenue conversation, if I was the Secretary of State, I would be not super happy that now you want me to, name recount board members for all these recounts that are going to happen. But again, it takes any type of subjectivity out of it, and that's fine with me. So this is all good. Very last thing, very quickly. So I want to touch on the inflationary increase through HB 1051. Again, always like to point out, even though you all have heard it 1 billion times, this is added to the target teacher salary of the formula, not the bottom line. It increases that target teacher salary to $63,769. Again, that's not the legally required increase, but certainly better than 0%, as Dr. Thompson pointed out. Over here on the right side, this is our general state aid estimate for next fiscal year. You can see now we're sitting at about 34.6 million. When we compare that to the current year budgeted state aid of 35.6, we see a year-over-year decrease of about 950,000. So we're down about $1 million. However, when we look at that through a different lens of where we were sitting in terms of a year-over-year reduction at the 0%, we were down about 2.2 million at that point. So year-over-year reduction at 1.4 is 950,000. So we're talking about a difference in that 1.4 increase of about 1.2 million. So it's not insignificant, and it is a big deal. And I really want to thank, again, all the board members and all the lobbying organizations that lobbied very hard on our behalf and got the 1.4%, because that is not insignificant and it is meaningful. Okay, and I will stop there. Happy to answer any other questions.
All right, board members, any questions for Ms. Sassy? Oh, Ms. Stephenson.
I don't have a question, more of a comment, or a couple. I really appreciate you saying consistently that it's a 1.4% increase to the target teacher salary. I think it would behoove us as board members to try and utilize that language. I think often when you're talking to the public, they're like, well, we got 1.4% from the state. I've said it, it's very easy to say. We didn't get 1.4% from the state. The target teacher salary got an increase of 1.4, and I know you all know this. I just, it was a good reminder that that's how you presented it. It's a good reminder to me that like, it really isn't 1.4%. It's not a 1.4% increase to education funding or to what the state is going to spend on education. My second comment is just really, Coy, thank you for all the work you did with the testifying. I mean, your foresight to hire a lobbyist and this board's foresight, I suppose, to agree with it. It was invaluable this year.
For sure.
It made a really big difference. And there was legislation saying that trying to get it so that schools couldn't hire lobbyists. And if any session really illuminated why we need a lobbyist, this was the one. It was just, there was so much going on. There's no way that you all have full-time jobs. We all have jobs. There's no way that we could have stayed on top of it without the help of a paid lobbyist. And I think they did good work for the district, and I'm proud of that. And I appreciate you, because it wouldn't have happened if you hadn't done that. And then both of you really did a nice job advocating for our district this year. You credited the legislative committee, but a lot of it, I think, was just doing what you told us to do. So really appreciate it. Great work for a hard session, and we're gonna have to regroup next month and kind of figure out how to approach next year, because I think there's some opportunities. I think we discovered some places where there might be.
I'm really glad you mentioned that, Christine, because I think you're absolutely right. I do think there's some great opportunities. I should have highlighted more of the positive stuff. Obviously, we had a bill presented on our behalf for bringing back averaging of enrollment, which was a huge deal. Unfortunately, we didn't get over the hill. However, I thought there were some great conversations. I thought it really set a path forward in terms of helping some of those legislators understand the issues and why it's such a meaningful thing for us. So there's some capital outlay stuff that's floating out there that I think could be really beneficial to the district. So a lot of it is, you know, the difficult nature of playing the long game in terms of legislative stuff. And it's not immediate gratification. It's we're you know, brick by brick looking out over, hey, in 5 years, we might be able to get this changed, or 7 or 10 or whatever. And so I think there were some really great things that happened as well. And I appreciate you saying that.
One thing I want to add, and I was going to do it at the legislative committee, but just for the public, in case they tune out after this discussion, that school lunch bill still needs to be signed by the governor, and he could use, I mean, it would not hurt to send a little note asking him for his signature, because as Coy put it, and it's just a very important thing for our district and for our kids and our families, and it's a good thing for the state. So I'm hoping that the governor signs it.
Ms. Zerben.
And I just want to, there's a couple of different legislative elections this year, some people that are terming out, and I think it's just so important that people understand the different committees that these people serve on and how they impact our district. Because I think specifically with education, there was a couple of them where I think we would have gotten over that hurdle, but there are just some people in our in office right now that are pretty outspoken about kind of their concerns, I suppose, about public education. And so we are not always seeing a ton of support from them. So when you go to vote this year, just look into that and what was their voting record last year.
Right, any other questions, comments for Mr. Sassy? All right, item 11, one of my favorite presentations is the Brown and Brown. I look forward to it every year, but what we'll do so that I can be primed and ready, let's take a 3-minute little short break. So we'll take a short break and then we'll be back on our agenda. Thank you, everyone.
Mike Lee, if you can hear me, we're gonna test the screen quick.
Hey Siri. Hey Siri. Call Paula.
Which one? Pam Finklia or
No.
Paul Lloyd?
Paula.
I won't.
Oh my God. Oh. I want to fire you sometime. Hey Siri. Call
There we go.
Paula.
Okay. All right, Mike, we can see. Paula Elholm.
Got about 20 minutes.
I was on call with Hallie.
Oh, sorry. Riveting presentation.
Okay, we're all back. Brown and Brown, thank you for coming.
All right, thank you, everybody. Good afternoon or good evening. My name is Katie Vidal. I'm a senior benefits consultant and the team lead of employee benefits for our North Dakota and Salt Lake City offices. I appreciate you having us here today. I'm going to do my best to be very respectful of your time, but please don't hesitate to ask us any questions along the way. To be respectful of your time, I'm going to do a quick introduction of our team. So Mike, if you don't mind going to the next slide, please. Well, this looks like a long agenda, but we're going to keep these conversations brief as we go forward today. But first, I'm going to kick it off with introducing you to our team. I'm sure you recognize you might see some different faces up here than you've maybe been used to in the past. We have had a few teammates depart our team, but we're excited to introduce you to our new team that we have here today to present to you. So with me here, I have Sean Smith. Sean is our business development representative. He works out of our Minneapolis office, and he works to help mitigate all risk strategies within your organization. So he doesn't only work with our team on the employee benefit side, but he also covers property casualty as well, making sure we're here for you for all risk related matters. As I mentioned, I'm your senior benefits consultant. I work on the day-to-day operations of your accounts, so any service matters that your team has. I'm their first stop alongside with Tammy Terrace, my senior benefit analyst. So we work with your team on a day-to-day basis to resolve any matters that come forward. We also have a dedicated communications rep, Megan Karras, who's on your account. We were just talking about rolling out some really neat communication strategies we'll touch on at the very end of the presentation today. And last but certainly not least, we have Mike Lee, who is your financial consultant. In addition to me today, he'll be presenting some of the content as far as the financial and utilization reporting goes. So without further ado, I'll continue moving forward here. Mike, if you want to go to the next slide, please. So before we get into the financial updates and the utilization updates, I think it's always important to refresh our memories as to why what self-funding is and why it's important to be mindful of those things as we go into your renewal season here. So I'm going to keep this brief, but what is self-funding? As an employer group, you guys have a few different mechanisms in which you can fund your health plan. You can be a fully insured plan in which you pay premiums to an insurance carrier, and in exchange, they cover all costs of claims. They cover your administration, and they take on 100% of the risk. But that also means that in a year where they collect more in income than they pay out in expenses, that they also keep that profit. This is where your group differs. You guys are a partially self-funded group. So what that means is that you guys actually pay a portion of your claims expense up to a certain threshold per individual and per your entire organization. So there's some protections in place there. But what that means is we want to be really mindful of your claims and the status of the financial health of your health plan so that we can make sure we're avoiding any risk or planning interventions at appropriate times along the way to avoid any unnecessary risk. And then we work together with carriers to help support you through that process, like a third-party administrator and network, and also stop-loss protection. But Mike, if you want to go to the next slide. And real briefly, some of the benefits that come with that are going to be, you're going to have a better financial performance. So typically coming with a lower cost. It's going to provide you with greater flexibility when you're when it comes to things like your plan design, what vendors you can plug and play into your benefits, and also what data you can access, meaning how much transparency is available to you, which is much greater on a self-funded plan. So all that being said, our team is behind the scenes continuously looking at your finances, your utilization to identify opportunities for your consideration. Not to say that we are, forcing you one direction or another, but it's our duty to bring those to you as opportunities. So with that being said, I'm going to turn it to Mike Lee next. He's going to go through a brief stewardship update, which is going to give you an indication of where things are at financially for your self-funded health plan. He's also going to take a look at the utilization. So taking a look in the rear view mirror, where did we spend our dollars as far as claims go? And then at the very end, what opportunities do we have for consideration as we step into this renewal season coming up here? So with that, Mike, I'll turn it to you.
All right. Thanks, Katie. Nice to meet everybody. And so, like I said, like Katie said, we'll keep this brief. A lot of numbers on here, but really what we're looking at is first line medical plan. Of course, that's the bulk of our budget when it comes to some of our benefits. And we've got a loss ratio here. Of course, we set a budget according to, what our projections are going to be. And the budget is, or the loss ratio is simply how much are we collecting in premium from a combination of the employees and the employer divided into the claims. So right now we're at a 98% loss ratio, or we are above budget by 200,000. However, you could see last year we were 103% loss ratio. This year we're projected to be a little over as well. Ideally, we'd probably want to be around that 88% before we start to see an increase. So we're running a little hot right now. Our dental plan, same kind of deal, but it's a much smaller dollar. So, if this was 104% under medical, that'd be a little scarier, but we're improved from last year, but still running a little hot. So if we combine those, we're running at 98.5% loss ratio, 168,000 over budget. But if we annualize that, if we're like I said, we have a little bit of a hot start here. We'd be over by about 4%. So hopefully, the claims kind of die down just a little bit here, but run a little hot. So that's a report that your team will get every month. So another thing that we will take a look at, this is an annual report. We call it the Health Plan Intelligence Report. A lot of times when you're talking to me, it's mostly numbers, but we also care, of course, what's driving those numbers. What's our actual health of our people. There's a lot going on here on this page. It is a summary, but we've noticed that there was a decrease in the enrollment. And so we're working with the team to figure out why that is. Some things that we're going to be suggesting to your team behind the scenes, and there's some reasoning behind that, are some Medicare education programs. Not only does that, it's sort of addition by subtraction because as we get older, of course, we get more expensive and we have a higher risk. So members that are 65 and over who are currently Medicare eligible, they're almost twice as expensive as the rest of the population, which is not as bad as a lot of other groups. But what we want to do is we want to focus on the education, not so much that we just want to push these people off the plan. That's not what we want to do at all. But we want to provide them that option to where maybe they are working in their golden years because they want the benefits and they don't know how to navigate the Medicare. Maybe they want to go part-time. Maybe we have some people that, their parents are Medicare eligible and we want to provide them that benefit. So we'll talk to your team about some of those vendors, and we have some within Brown & Brown as well. Cancer was our top spend last year. Musculoskeletal was our number 2 spend. Your population does a really good job of going to and taking care of their cancer screenings each year. Just, cancer is a very expensive treatment. But the members, for the most part, are doing a lot of their due diligence by getting their screenings. Musculoskeletal, we'll also be talking, that's your number 2 spend. We're above the norm for your area geographically and your industry. So we're going to talk to the team about some virtual vendors that will come in so that they can help out with physical therapy and workout programs and things like that, so that members aren't burdened by having to take time off of work or going in. They can do that virtually, and it's much less expensive for them. It's much quicker for them, and hopefully, we promote more utilization of small dollars so that people are avoiding outpatient surgeries and things like that. A number of other things, we will work with our communications department because mental health is very big, especially in the Midwest. It's usually higher than than other areas of the country. So we want to put together some resources to where members have, it's a less of a gray area and less ambiguous on how they utilize their benefits. So we want to make sure that people, you guys are spending a lot on these benefits, and we want to make sure that members know what's out there for them. We want to utilize what we're paying for. And then we will also be looking at some of the cost share, with the prescription specialty drugs are very expensive. We're wondering if we are designing our plan so that we're actually inviting higher risk. We want as many healthy people on the plan as possible. We want as many people to be able to get access to the care as they can as well. But we also have fiduciary responsibilities to make sure that we're limiting the risk as well. So we'll be working with the team and looking at options to enrich some benefits, maybe lower deductible, but also take care of ourselves and build some safety nets with some of these prescriptions. So, combination of your enrollment going down and costs going up. So we have fewer healthy people to subsidize some of these costs are a really driving force in some of the discussions that we'll be having and agenda items and initiatives that we'll be having into next year and the year after that. But trying to just make sure that people know what kind of benefits they are being provided. It's a very rich gambit of benefits. So we want to make sure that we can have people utilize them and drive down the costs. But any questions on that?
All right, board members, any questions for Mr. Lee? Ms. Stephenson?
I'm just curious if you have kind of trends nationwide. Are people just choosing to go without health insurance because these premiums have gotten so high? Could that be a reason that we've gone down 20%?
It could be a number of other things. It could be some of that. I was in talking to your team earlier today. They said that they have had some initiatives in the past for Medicare education. That's a little bit. We've lost some spouses, and that's always a kind of give and take. There's a, there's a, I forget the word here, but with spouses, it's a little tricky. Sometimes they're more expensive because they can't work, but so they're going to be on your plan. But we want to attract as many healthy spouses as possible. Personally, I haven't really seen people going without healthcare. And there's, a lot of times there's minimum participations that you have to have in order to be on some carrier's network, with Wellmark. If you don't get enough participation, then they may say, we're not going to insure you anymore. But that's not something I've personally seen.
Yeah.
And yeah,
I would echo Mike's comments. I would also say, so we work with some of the largest school districts across North Dakota as well. And so in my book of business, I have about 9 of the larger school districts. And what I'm seeing in a lot of those is specifically in the classified staff where they're working more 9-10 months out of the year, a lot of those individuals are tending to choose spouses plans for partially that reason. It can be attributed to affordability. It can be attributed to where depending on different school districts and how they do the payments of those plans, whether they put it into an escrow or whether they end the benefits, put them on COBRA and then add them back as like a new hire at the end of the year can be a little taxing on employees. So that just varies on how different school districts do it. But I would echo Mike and say we aren't really seeing a trend of people not having any coverage at all. It's usually that they do have other qualified coverage in place.
All right, any other questions for Mr. Lee? All right, thank you very much, sir.
All right, Mike, if you don't mind going to the next slide, we just have a couple more slides real quickly. You heard Mike mention communications a few times. So this is an initiative we're taking on this year. So you're going to see some new things coming out during open enrollment this year. We're going to be releasing a new benefits guide. We're also going to have a digital flip book available, and something we're really excited to release is going to be a mobile benefits app where employees can access all of their benefit information in one space. So trying to meet different people at different places in their communication needs to make sure we're really educating people on the extensive benefits that you do provide to them. So more to come on that you'll see. We'll also be participating in a benefits fair coming up in July, the week before open enrollment.
Can I ask you a question? What is a digital flip book?
A digital flip book is, imagine like a book, but it's digital. So you're flipping the pages in the book. It's kind of like a glorified PDF. So then within the guide, it also has live links too. So if we're linking out to carrier websites or additional resources, those are all live links, and the table of contents is all clickable through as well. So it's just kind of a nice version of a way you can access it online versus printing.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, and last but not least, so as your new team, we do things very similar to your old team, but we are working through that pre-renewal process right now. We're in the process of collecting renewals and giving your team some estimates on where we're expecting those numbers to come in at. As we get closer to your renewal, we will be working with your team to solidify those budgets and any other considerations we should be playing into that. And once decisions are made, working with the team to make sure we're rolling those out to employees and making sure we're having a successful open enrollment coming up. So With that, I believe that was the content. If you do wish to see more financial information or more utilization information, we do have the full reports for you. Just let us know and we'd be happy to send those to you. But are there any other questions we can address this evening?
All right, board members, any questions? All right, seeing none, that was a lovely, lovely, lovely
Well, thank
short
you.
report, but very informative. Thank you. The new team, we don't have to break you in. You already know the situation and you did a wonderful, wonderful job. Thank
You
you
know,
so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Can I have one question? Is the writing on the wall here that insurance premiums are gonna go up because we're running at 100 and, or, 98 and looking like 104%?
That's probably a safe estimate, yes. I know in our preliminary look, we are looking at an increase, but we typically come to the table with what we call some levers to pull to. We can look at different options of how we can maybe bring that down or help mitigate at least some of the increase, so.
Do you think it's gonna be more of an increase than it typically is because of the?
I think it's a little too early to say at this point, especially until we get that solidified carrier renewal. We won't know just quite yet, but I'm anticipating within probably the next couple weeks, we should have more solidified numbers for you.
Okay, and then the insurance committee kind of goes over those numbers and then comes back to us. What's the timeline for that?
I believe we would probably have something prepared in April for the committee's consideration.
Yep.
And then back here. Mhm.
With new premium numbers, so people know then. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you all.
All right, thank you. We have no conflicts of interest. At this time, I have already been informed that a board member needs to pull 13C. Any board members want to pull any other item on the proposed agreements and MOUs? All right, I will entertain a motion to approve the agreements and MOUs except for Charlie.
Motion.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the proposed agreements and MOUs except for 13 Charlie. Roll call, please.
Troy Carr,
Yes.
Jamie Clapham,
Yes.
Katie Urban,
Yes.
Donna Moore,
Yes.
Walt Swan,
Yes.
Angela Rafferty,
Yes.
Christine Stephenson.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve 13C, conscious discipline.
A motion.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve 13C, conscious discipline. Discussion.
Oh, let me raise my hand.
Ms. Rafferty.
So, I pulled 13C, because I've talked to a few teachers and, I do value professional development and training for staff. But I think we need to look at some data to see if conscious discipline is actually working in our schools, and also get the perspectives from the classroom teachers who use this tool on a daily basis. I'm just looking out for what's best for students and for teachers. And I also have some concerns of having this in service in the month of April because we have teachers retiring, we have new teachers starting in the fall. I just think it would be more valuable if it did pass, if we had this in service like in the fall, so that all teachers could be trained in this.
Okay, any other discussions? All right.
Sorry, I didn't get my hand up. Does administration have any thoughts on that? Just, since we're voting tonight on it?
So this was an opportunity that came up through Title IV with carryover funds in order to expand. We had some principals who reached out and wanted more direct conscious discipline support. We know that one of the challenges that we have in a district is anytime we invest in a program or philosophy that it's hard to scale out to all the schools and to do it and do it really well. We're very cognizant of that. And I think with any system, it's as good as what we put into it. And we can always take good things out of it. So we're always looking for doing things with integrity so that we can get the best value out of it and hopefully therefore the best work with our kids. This training, I believe, will take place in March. And part of it is the timing of approval. And we were initially hoping to do it yesterday, but the timing of approval didn't allow. So it did have to move to a different time frame. But it's part of the overall approach that we're taking. We look at this alongside responsibility center discipline and in how we really approach behaviors in general. I don't think we are tied to one way and one way only, but this has been something that the district has invested in, and we have, like I said, principals who want more training, especially with our staff turnover. I think that's a challenge. How do we get them some quality skills? And this conscious discipline is a lot about how adults can regulate in the classroom. So, yeah.
Mr. Swan.
Kind of in concurring with what Angela has brought up, is there any data from this that we should be looking at that would entice, say, an approval or?
But I think from a data standpoint, you're going to look at behavior referrals, and because this is about classroom management and how we work directly with kids on that management side. So do I have specific data? I can refer back to our overall major behavior referrals. This is a part of that. This isn't everything in that. So I don't have any specific data prepared for you.
Ms. Urban.
How long have we been doing conscious discipline district-wide? And do you feel like we're at a point now where we can really say we're doing it with Fidelity? Or did it start with just a couple of schools? Where are we in the process?
I don't know about that last part of the question. I think we've been working with conscious discipline probably in that 5-year time frame. I don't know exactly when we went district-wide with it. What was the second part of your question?
Just do you think that we're at a point where we are doing it with Fidelity as it's been expanded throughout the whole district?
No, I don't, but that doesn't mean that we're not working to improve. I think that's part of the whole thing is if we're not working in a system such as conscious discipline or a framework, then what are we doing? So we have to have some parameters and some way to coalesce around some quality thinking and some quality practice, and that's what this allows us to do. Again, I said we're not married to any one approach, but we also can't just shoot for the stars and just pick anything. And it's part of a coordinated approach that we're really trying to drill into. And in the coming months, you'll hear me talk more about MTSS on the behavior side and how we're trying to really align our work with behaviors across the district, vertically and horizontally.
Mr. Swan.
Okay, you mentioned that we with Fidelity, what percentage are we? 40, 70, 20, 90?
I'd say I'd say you're gonna see it in every building. So to give a full percentage, that's hard. You're gonna see it in every building, and you're gonna see it done really well in certain buildings versus others.
Thank you.
Ms. Stephenson.
I just worry that this wouldn't be the place for the board to say we don't like conscious discipline, only because I feel like if we say no on this, the district doesn't change course on conscious discipline. It just means that a resource for classroom management that they're hoping to put on, they won't be able to put on. But I worry a little bit. I mean, I think that it's a discussion to be had. What is the evidence behind it? But I just worry that at this point, saying we don't like conscious discipline and voting against this doesn't change the course on conscious discipline. It just leaves the district without an option for a PD day that's coming up pretty quick.
Mrs. Moore.
Have we asked teachers what their opinion is? And I mean, a significant number of teachers to really get a feel for what they think. Not what we think, but what do they think?
So I rely on what I hear from principals and our behavior team. So they're the ones that bring the recommendations forward and how we can best do professional development and how we can advance, in this case, conscious discipline. And keep in mind, we have done and will do. Well, we have trainings all. I know we sent teams last summer. We sent teams in the fall. So we have done continual training for many, both principals and leadership teams, as well as teachers. So we've done a lot of that, and this is an extension of that.
So is it the educators that carry it out on a day-to-day basis in the classroom?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
And we don't know how they feel about it, or do we?
Again, I rely on what our principals are telling me and what our behavior coaches and the behavior team is recommending.
Okay.
And they're the ones that are working with our
With
teachers.
the educators, yeah. And then is it 4 days?
This one, I thought it was one day.
There's 1 day and then 3 consecutive
Yeah.
days.
Right. And that coaching piece was an integral part of really getting in and working specifically with our new staff that don't have as much background. And that was one of the specific requests I received.
Thank you.
Ms. Rafferty.
I feel like if the school district is going to be spending over $16,000 for a training that will last 4 days, we really need to be asking the teachers if this is something that they need, since they're the ones that are implementing this on a daily basis in the classrooms. I have personal experience, but I think it's important to ask the teachers too and get their input.
Dr. Thompson.
I just want to specify that the vote tonight is simply on this professional development, not on the program as a whole. And would just like to advocate that if the board wants to look at a different program, that takes considerable research and time, that a change like that would not be now, and it would not be for the next school year. We would be looking for an entire year out in order to make a big change like that. We would be looking at 27, 28.
Mm-hmm. All right, any other comments? All right, are we ready for the question? Roll call vote, please.
Troy Carr,
Yes.
Jamie Clapham,
Yes.
Katie Urban,
Yes.
Donna Moore,
Yes.
Walt Swan,
Yes.
Angela Rafferty,
Yes.
Christine Stephenson.
Yes.
All right, motion carries. Thank you, everyone. All right, my glasses here so I can know what we're doing. Any consent agenda items of board members you would like to pull? I see or hear none, so I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion.
It's been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Troy Carr,
Yes.
Jamie Clapham,
Yes.
Katie Urban,
Yes.
Donna Moore,
Yes.
Walt Swan,
Yes.
Angela Rafferty,
Yes.
Christine Stephenson.
Yes.
Motion carries. All right, please bear with me as item 15 is something that we have not done before. And Vice President Clapham, if you want to chime in with any additional information, please do so. We received a letter from ASBSD. According to ASBSD bylaws, all contested board of director elections shall be determined by ballot election. Ballots containing the names and nominees shall be mailed to the superintendent of all member boards in each respective region. One seat is being contested by Tanya Gray of Douglas School District and Justin Judding of Meade District for the West Region enrollment 1,400 to 9,999 on the board. A profile of each candidate is included along with this letter. School boards in the Western region are eligible to vote by ballot and return to SBSD. So first question, board members, did you get a chance to look at and receive both ballots? Okay, so we have that. All ballots for contested elections must be received by ASBSD office by 5 p.m. Central Standard Time on May 15th. Ballots will be counted by a committee consisting of ASBSD Executive Director, ASBSD Legal Counsel, and ASBSD President or President's designee. Candidates and the ASBSD membership will be notified of the results by June 1st. All right. Newly elected region directors will take part in a board member orientation program to help familiarize them with the ASBSD and will take office at the August board meeting. I would just thought that was important for our community clarity and for board members to understand what we are doing. Our ballot is here, and so we will. Do we need a motion?
To pick a person? Is that what we're doing?
Yeah.
We're voting? Yeah.
Yes, I believe you would have a motion to elect whoever you choose
Okay.
to serve as your representative.
Okay, so in a second, I'll ask for that motion and your answer will be one of the names.
Mhm.
Okay, so that's what your vote will be, and we'll calculate the votes, and that will go on this form.
Somebody would make a motion to elect the individual and then would vote yes or no.
Well, there's two individuals, so the easiest thing, this is the problem that we had, make a motion to pick a Region 1 director, and then your vote will be who we pick. So if there are 3 of one name, otherwise you'd have to have 2 votes for each name, which doesn't.
I mean, that's fine. I would just say if I made a motion, for example, to choose Tanya Gray, then we could do a roll call and everybody would say yes or no. And whatever the outcome of that was would determine.
But you don't give Justin an opportunity for a vote. You don't, if you make a motion to vote for one, what happens to the other one? So the motion is to pick one.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, any questions about that so that we're on the same page?
All you need, you say one.
You say one or the other name. Yeah, it's really easier than you just. That way each.
Really
loud. Yeah, that's hard. All right, Ms. Clapham.
No, my only comment was gonna be that, I do know Miss Gray has been on the board of directors for several years, so I do know her and I'm well acquainted with her. The one thing I think about is that, being in a, sorry, I'm on, probably getting a lot of feedback.
I would say that something to consider perhaps is all the changes that are going to be coming to the base and over the next 5 years, and having representation from the district that's going to be most affected by that would just be something to perhaps take in consideration, because our district and Douglas are probably the two, of course, that are most affected by all of those things.
Okay. Also, if you aren't comfortable with voting for, if you don't feel educated enough to vote for either person, I guess you can abstain. The problem with that is if we don't have 4 of us who vote. So you do have that, that option. Obviously, when you make a vote, you want to make an informed vote. And if you don't have that enough information, then you are free to abstain from voting. All right, Ms. Stephenson.
Just wanted to ask the board, we heard from Jamie, who has personal experience with Miss Gray. Do any of you have any personal experience with Mr. Jutting?
Ms. Urban.
I do not. I do not know him at all. I would just say I did work with Tanya when I was out at Douglas, and she has a lot of experience and really represents Western South Dakota really well. And interestingly, even though Douglas is much smaller than Rapid City, they are considered one of the larger school districts. So I think she has a good voice and is well known in that area.
For clarity, I've had a conversation with Justin about AI maybe a year ago, year and a half ago, but I don't have any other opinion. I do know Tanya and know of Tanya, and so that's who I'm going to be voting for. All right, any other discussion? All right, so for clarity, I will entertain a motion to choose either Justin or Tanya for the ASBSD position in the Western region. Okay. It's I mean, you don't, I mean.
It's a confusing motion.
Yeah. It's been moved and seconded to approve either Tanya or Justin. Your vote will be one of those 2 names. Okay, roll call.
Troy Carr,
Tanya.
Jamie Clapham,
Tanya Gray.
Katie Urban,
Tanya Gray.
Donna Moore,
Tanya Gray.
Walt Swan,
Tanya Gray.
Angela Rafferty,
Tanya Gray.
Christine Stephenson.
Tanya Gray.
All right, motion carries. Tanya Gray will be Rapid City Area Schools selection. I'll make that, sign it, and get it turned in. Thank you, everyone. This time, items for board information, committee reports.
I have one.
Okay, Ms. Urban.
All right, so facilities, we had a very quick facilities meeting last week to discuss the bond language and the timing of when to put it on our agenda. And it looks like it's going to be that April 7th first meeting for the board next month. We kind of talked about wanting to make sure we had all the communication pieces in place so that once we vote to put it on the ballot, we will be able to distribute information about what's actually included in the bond. And it sounds like we are on track to be able to do all of that. COI is going to work on a couple of different documents for our feedback, which would be a PowerPoint presentation that they'll use at community presentations, and also proposed referendum language. So that's coming as well. But yes, big vote, first weekend, or the first board meeting in April. And then Military Advisory Coalition, I have another meeting this week, but this year they were very involved in advocating for legislation that will positively impact the base and its expansion. They really advocated for SB 130, which is an infrastructure bill at Ellsworth. And then, of course, the ongoing conversation is the hundreds of airmen that have been deployed fairly abruptly in the last couple of weeks. I think the last number I heard was like 400, and I know our district did send out some communication, just letting families know that there are resources for them. And I know that their different groups have been very active with their families and working to support them. But we do have a base liaison that is a wealth of knowledge and can certainly help families during this difficult time and at least get them to the right place. I did attend the WDT meeting last week, and it was lovely. You were right, Christine. It was fairly routine business. They did talk about a new program proposal, which is of gunsmithing, which may come about. And there was a really interesting presentation on what they do out with the Department of Corrections. And they are actually one of the only institutions in the state that work directly with the Department of Corrections. And with the new women's prison, they're going to actually have a one of their programs on site there, which is a really exciting thing. They were very interested in Arbonne, so I did give them some information about kind of what's next for us. And that's my committee reports.
All right, any questions for Mrs. Urban and her reports? All right, anybody else with reports? Committee reports.
Rapid City School Foundation hosted a breakfast yesterday. They honored teachers who have been working for the district for 30+ years. And it was just wonderful to see a group of teachers talking and reminiscing. And I'd like to thank all the board members who were on the Rapid City Public Foundation who helped and volunteered their time to set up, and Mrs. Urban for picking things up and delivering them. And it was a really, really good.
I participated in the Performing Arts Center committee. They are doing their strategic plan, and so we had a 6-hour meeting on Friday, and I could only attend half of that, but it started the process of revising their strategic plan. All right. Any other committee reports? Seeing none, others. Any other? Ms. Clapham. You're muted.
Okay. All right. Now I should be unmuted. I'm going to try to go where I have less background noise. But I just want to say, one, I was able to, I want to say it's Music in Your Schools Month. And I just want to give a huge shout out to all of our orchestra and band staff. What they do, I was at the Festival of Bands, what they do to get hundreds of children and their instruments to the monument, out of the monument, all the instruments. I mean, when you're talking about 4 grades of kids from across the city and bringing them all together, it's really impressive, really. And they did a great job. And just, we are really fortunate in Rapid City. This month we had United in Song, Festival of Bands, Strings in Concert, and we are hosting the All-State band, a high school band next week. So we are really celebrating music in our schools month in a very big way, and we really are able to see how many students it impacts. So wanted to give just a shout out and huge pat on the back to all of those people who helped make that happen.
My second one, I was just wanted to say thank you to all the sponsors, volunteers, staff who made the Women in Science Conference happen. That's for all of our 7th grade students. I was a speaker at that event, and to have 900 young ladies there learning about STEM careers and just seeing their excitement and their curiosity. It's a really, really great event. It has grown over the years. It started at 200 or 300, and now between Spearfish and Rapid City, it's over 1,200 students who are impacted by that. So thank you to all of, I said, everybody who makes that happen. It's a really, really big undertaking and a really fun event to be a part of.
All right. Any questions for Ms. Clapham? Very well, Ms. Stephenson.
Well, mine will be short because I was just going to also commend the music teachers and the music in our schools event this month, and frankly last month too. I did have a chance to go to United in Song, and it was so good. Middle schoolers and some high schoolers, and just singing beautiful music. And middle school might be a hard time to teach kids to sing, so lots of appreciation for middle school music teachers. And then I also went to the middle school all-state orchestra, and it's just so impressive the work that our fine arts teachers do. So just a little gratitude for them and congratulations.
Okay, anybody else? All right, I just want to say, I know all of you received the notice of they're taking nominations for Superintendent of the Year. And so Dr. Thompson hasn't been with us quite a year, but we can still nominate her. And so I just wanted to mention that to the board members, and we'll go from there. I also, my recollection of it is I got bamboozled to cook for the Rapid City Alternative Academy. They had, for the first time, Discovery Days. And one of the sessions was a cultural session. And one of the board members, whose name I will not mention in this setting, asked me to get involved, and they didn't show up. So I was out there, you know, one of those who wants to do it, and everybody steps back, and I'm looking around, and it's me. But it was such a wonderful day. The kids enjoyed the food. They tore up everything. And again, it's something that Principal Kanta is trying this year. They had a few kinks, but they're going to work on it and get the kinks out. So I enjoyed doing that and cooking for the kids. All right, one last other that I have is today we pause to remember a day that forever changed our community. 58 years ago, on March 7th, 1968, Rapid City experienced a heartbreaking loss. A plane carrying students and adults home from the state basketball tournament, which they're in right now, did not make it back safely. 9 lives were lost, including 6 young cheerleaders whose energy, spirit, and promise represented so much that we cherish in our schools. Even for those of us who were not here at the time, this tragedy is still part of our story. It lives on in the memories shared by families, in the traditions that continue today, and in the quiet understanding of how deeply a school community can feel lost. Out of that sorrow, something lasting was created. The Spirit of 6 became a way to honor those students, not only for who they are, but for what they stood for: kindness, teamwork, encouragement, and school pride. Their legacy continues to shape the values we lift up in our students today. As we mark this anniversary, we do more than look back. We remember the lives behind the story. We hold space for the families and for the community that carried that grief together. And we recommit ourselves to caring for one another in the ways that matter most. Today, may we move a little more gently, appreciate one another a little more fully, and carry forward the spirit that endures. I think it was important to read this tonight because it is the actual anniversary of the event. It's not something that we may acknowledge every year, but I think it was important to do that this year. And state basketball is in session. I think it starts Thursday. So, all right. Oh, yeah, sure, Mrs. Urban.
Okay, and a big thanks to the class of 1968 because they have continued to support our district in various ways through fundraisers and things like that. Every year they show up and it's a big deal. And for those that lived through that, you still can't have a conversation without them getting emotional. It's something that changed their lives. It was in the midst of Vietnam War and a lot of their classmates were getting drafted. And so it's just a really difficult time in our history. And I appreciate that you brought it up tonight.
All right, anybody, any other? Okay, at this time. I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session, SDCL one 25 2.1, 2.3, and 2.4.
Motion.
It has been approved. It has been motioned and seconded to go into executive session. Roll call, please.
Troy Carr,
Yes.
Jamie Clapham,
Yes.
Katie Urban,
Yes.
Donna Moore,
Yes.
Walt Swan,
Yes.
Angela Rafferty,
Yes.
and Christine Stephenson.
Yes.